The goal and the mission is this. We work with thousands of agents every single year, and a lot of people get into this industry looking for financial freedom. Unfortunately, the numbers tell us from NAR every single year that not enough agents actually ever reach that point. And I think Omni and I share a vision together that can be done through real estate investing. I'm really excited about today. Today I'm joined by Omni Casey, an amazing real estate investor and agent that we're going to hear from in just a minute. So welcome, Omni. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
We're really excited, guys. We're going to launch a new division called the Investment Division of the KW Alliance Group, and Omni is going to be leading that for us. The goal and the mission is this. We work with thousands of agents every single year, and a lot of people get into this industry looking for financial freedom. Unfortunately, the numbers tell us from NAR every single year that not enough agents actually ever reach that point. And I think Omni and I share a vision together that can be done through real estate investing. And usually it's just a lack of a plan and a lack of education that stops agents from really doing that. So we're excited today to kind of catch you up on who Omni is and what his background is and really launching this as we move into March 2024. So let's get started. Omni, nice to see you.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
So tell us a little about your background here. We're obviously going to be starting an investment division here at the KW Alliance Group.
Sure.
What excites you about that?
Yeah, very excited to be here. I mean, obviously, we've had many discussions in terms of what we think this value could add to the agents. And you mentioned, I'm a real estate investor, been 20 plus years, grew up in Hawaii. I actually became an investor before I became an agent. And my first few years, it was funny because I just assumed every agent invests in real estate. It made sense, right? And so I came from this investor mindset first. The reality is you start to talk to your colleagues and they're selling real estate. No one owns real estate. And that I just felt like that's such a shame. So I went down this path of being an investor, being an agent, and did coaching and training. But the reality is I've never had a platform as big as this in terms of being able to help so many agents become investors themselves is primarily the major goal.
Right.
There's trickle-down effect to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a successful real estate agent, that gives you a level of freedom, that gives you a level of attractiveness to other investors out there, and that changes or adds to your business drastically. So I'm excited to see where this goes within your group.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that we're going to be focused on, right, is around education and consistent training. That's something you're really passionate about, and we're passionate about doing it in person, right? Yeah. So the goal is that you'll be training in the market centers in the coming months. Every market center that we have once a month, and then having things like follow-up calls, right? And helping agents individually on their plan, because we know every family is different, right? Yep. Everyone has different obligations based on where kids might be going to college, or you may not be in that situation, obviously. So you're going to jump in and help people individually as well with kind of what their wealth plan is going to be, right?
That's exactly what we're going to do. So from a team leader, broker standpoint, right? We have this. I used to be in that role as well, and I sit down with an agent, put a business plan together. How much do I need to make to survive, right? What do I want to make in my business? Do I want to make 100,000, 200,000, whatever it is? And we put this plan together. Most people don't sit down and say, okay, what is my passive income plan? What is my financial freedom plan? It's typically not a certain amount of money in the bank. It typically is passive income coming in,
right? And
that's just a different language for most people. And
right.
So in addition to them making money as real estate agents, we're going to show them what can they do, or how many properties or how many investments do they need passively to have enough income coming in to be financially free. Right. Doesn't mean they're going to retire. Most people are meant to work and do what they want to do if they love it, but most people don't have the freedom to choose.
Right.
And once you have the freedom to choose, you typically become a much better agent, business owner, whatever that case may be.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite lines when I joined KW, 12 or 13 years ago now was, the point of business is to fund a perfect life.
Yep.
And that's something that I think we've been trying to solve as leaders in our organization. Is we have too many agents that are consistently just, getting a sale, spending their money.
Yep.
Right. And I have found that it revolves around education and just knowing what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
This year I've put myself out, personally, and bought a couple investment properties, and the learning experience that I've gone through has been amazing. But also my confidence is there now. And now I start to find new motivation for sales, right? To create cash flow,
sure,
right? To be able to invest in the different properties, right?
Absolutely.
So you run something called the Cash Flow Breakfast Club,
mm-hmm,
right? That's outside of what we're working
sure,
on here. But I think it's important just for validity purposes. So tell us about Cash Flow Breakfast Club. Like, how did that get started and where did that come from?
Yeah, that's been my baby for a few years now. In addition to the coaching agent, leadership role that I had previously, I was running this. It started out as a meetup and a little mastermind of me helping the agents that I was coaching and mentoring and training become real estate investors. And then it started to grow to their friends and family, and then their clients, and we went from 30 people to 300 people in a room. And just last year, we started to expand that beyond just the one location. We ended up getting over 100 applications for leaders to open up throughout the US. So we have 30 something committed so far in terms of these locations. But basically, what it is once a month meeting in person, a mastermind. So it's not just education. Education is great. Education alone doesn't change anyone's life, right? You need that community. That mastermind is what we call it, of people to talk through, people that are going through the pain that you're going through, because changing, it creates pain, right? And if you have a certain habit of life, expenses, income, whatever it is, to break outside of that, you need to do something extraordinary. And we give you the tools and the path to do that. But it really is that community that is going to give you that confidence to get there. So once a month, meet in person with another 60, 70, 80 other investors that are on the exact same path that you are. Some of them are real estate agents, most of them are not. And so this is open to the community. So from a real estate agent standpoint, many agents show up with their clients in that room. And it's once a month. Parallels a little bit about what we're going to do within our division. We're going to tailor just to agents, right? And give them another layer of education of how to be an agent investor, how to work with investors, and then how to use their earned commission income and convert that into passive income. So they work hand in hand. While the division and the training program that we're putting together is a little bit more detailed.
Awesome. You said that you became an investor before you became in real estate. Kind of walk us through that. How did you get into real estate investing?
So I knew nothing about real estate, right? So I lived in Hawaii. I was actually working at a surf shop, selling surfboards, fix and flip surfboards, right? So you get these surfboards coming in, and the shop would buy them on consignment sometimes and sell them. And then every once in a while, the shop owner would reject a surfboard because it didn't meet his criteria, didn't have enough margins. And I got into the habit of saying, well, that was close. Let me go chase after that person. I'll personally buy that. I'll put it on consignment and fix up the surfboard and sell it. All right. So I became a surfboard fix and flipper, and made decent money doing that, but it was only surfboards. And at some point you're like, okay, what's something of higher value, or higher margin? Real estate started to make sense, right? I read a magical purple book called Rich Dad Poor Dad that many people have probably dug into, that changed my mindset, and real estate was mentioned in that. And so I started to say, I need to know about real estate. No one in my family was real estate investors. We owned homes, but it wasn't a conversation we ever had. So I just started to talk to every single person that I was selling a surfboard to, especially if they're buying a high ticket surfboard, and asked them, what do they do? Do you own real estate as an investment? And found my first mentor selling a surfboard to him. And the rest was history. I basically, started to tag along to his projects, try to find out as much value that I could add as possible, and got into initially fix and flip, wholesale, which wasn't a thing back then, and then realized that I wanted cash flow. I didn't want the quick influx of cash that went away. I wanted something that I can work once and it continues over and over and over again. So I got really good at optimizing cash flow and buying rental properties, and I've been doing this for 20 plus years.
And you guys still are buying properties, right? You and your family focus on that. That's still something that you're actively doing. And so agents have questions about deals, hard money, wholesaling, all those things. The point of this is to create, somebody in their world, in the Alliance group here, that they can go to and be asking those questions to, right?
That's exactly it. I love actively investing. We have passive investments as well, but you start out just, all right, can I buy one property a year? And then it got to, can I buy 5 properties a year? Then 10 properties a year. And then a few years ago, we tried to buy 52 properties, one property every single week. Our goal is about 100 properties a year now. Sometimes we hit it, sometimes we don't, but we have a lot of properties. Most of what we buy are multifamily, small residential properties, but I bought single family. I have short-term rentals. I have co-living. So I try to do a mix of investment strategies. Primarily, one, I want to teach my kids. I want them to learn hands-on. They're still pretty young, and so they're involved. They're going to those ugly properties and they're seeing that
sweeping the floors, doing what they need to do.
Absolutely. I put them to work. They give them a hammer. Demo day is great, right? Then we turn it over to the professionals and they actually do the work. But teaching them those lessons, but giving them the financial literacy of how to read that P&L, how to run a business. Every property we own is a business.
Right.
Every single property. So it's not one real estate business. It's this business needs to be successful on its own. Teaching them that skill set. So I do try to diversify what I'm doing so that they have a diversity of knowledge as well, and then the agents and the investors that I coach and that we train get to benefit from that because we're actively doing those deals as well.
Sounds easy. It's not, right?
No.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you can remember about you going on this journey of getting into passive investing, right? Acquiring properties.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you look back on and go like, hey, that was really tough? And how are we going to help our agents solve maybe some of those issues?
Yeah, I think I started out with maybe ignorance was bliss. I didn't know what I didn't know.
Right.
I didn't own a home. I was young, like literally starting out. I bought an investment property before I bought my own home. I had no clue. I just knew I needed to get into investing because I was really good at adding value to things and selling them, and I thought real estate was the next thing for that. And my mentor that I alluded to, my first mentor, and I start to say, well, how do I get into a deal? How do I do this? And he's looking at me. I work at a surf shop, so I have no money whatsoever, right? That's, it's enough money to party and buy your surfboards, and that's about it.
Yep.
But he's like, okay, there's only three things in any real estate transaction. There's only three roles, and someone's got to find the deal, right? The deal finder. Someone's got to bring the money, fund the deal, and someone's got to have the experience to operate that deal. Now, you could be all three of those things. You can find the deal, fund the deal, and operate that deal. But you starting out, you don't have experience. I wouldn't trust you to operate the deal.
Right.
And I'm willing to guess that you don't have any money, right? So you go learn how to find deals, and then we can work together.
Interesting.
And so I learned how to find deals because that's the only thing I knew how to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got some experience. I could play that role. I was able to save up some money or learned money a little bit better.
Yep.
So understanding one of those three roles is the way to go. And some people are ready to do all three of those. Some can do one or two of them. But understanding what is your role, that's what we teach people. We teach each of those three roles. At some point along the line, most people come to me and say, I don't have enough money, or I'm not making enough money, or whatever it may be. Money is the biggest issue stopping most people.
Right.
I'll say probably from experience now, money is the least important thing in real estate investing. Money helps, absolutely. Sure. You can invest with no money though. That's not what we teach people to do primarily, but there are many strategies without money that you can do. It's if you're really good at building partnerships and adding value another way, you don't actually need your own money. You need someone's money.
Right.
So that's a way to do that. There are many other partners out there. So most people, especially in the real estate agent world, understand lending, but they probably only understand 5% of the lending that's really available out there. There's so many other types of loans that 99% of real estate agents have never, ever heard of.
Sure.
Unless you're an investor.
Yep.
And so there's loans that most people think you can get 10 loans in your name. True to an extent. I've got hundreds of loans though. Mm-hmm. How did that happen, right? There are different types of loans that have nothing to do with my income. My debt to income does not play a factor into that. So it's probably the education of what's out there, opening up the world to someone that is not an investor yet, that will help them understand that the hurdles that they have in their mind are not really hurdles. It's just education hurdles.
Yep.
And that opens up so many more opportunities for how they service their clients as well.
That's awesome. So let's talk about a little bit how we're going to launch this division and what it's going to look like for our agent base. So what we're going to do is in March, we're going to be visiting each office together and launching this program.
Yep.
Right. So you guys will find out shortly what those dates are, and we're going to make sure that we have those rooms filled up for those dates. Beginning in April, right? So the second quarter, we're basically going to run a curriculum every quarter, right? That's your idea. Yep. That's how you like to train this information. So walk us through a little bit, like what's that going to look like, and what is the expectations, that we're going to have of our agents that are going to participate in that?
Yeah. So once a quarter, so 12 weeks. And so there's a book called The 12-Week Year by Bill Moran, and it's a really good book. It's not a real estate book, but the concept is, what's so magical about a year, right? We set goals and we put them in place. January 1st, we get all excited, and then we're working. At some point, you lose steam throughout the year. And the reality is, it's the start and starting and ending of those cycles that give you that energy, that momentum. And so if you're able to, instead of 12 months, figure 12 weeks. Can you cram as much as you can 12 weeks and repeat that cycle? So that's why we're doing it that way. That 12-week cycle, there's magic to that. I ran my business, most of my businesses on 12-week cycles versus 12-year cycles. So it's going to be, can we give our agents as much education, training, hands-on group experience as possible in this 12-week cycle, give them enough to feel confident to get started.
Yep.
If they're already started, get to that next level. And then we're going to repeat, and we're going to be adapting that so that they can come in and do one of those 12-week cycles a year. They can do every single one if they want to.
Right.
It's going to be a mixture of at least once a month in-person group setting, right? The people that we're bringing into this group to take that in-person training. And then every week there's going to be some follow-up, assignments. Most people are really good at learning, sitting through and getting excited about things. But if you don't actually implement it right away,
Sure.
You forget about it, right?
Yeah.
So we are going to make you analyze deals as a fix and flip, make you analyze deals as a rental property, as a short-term rental or rooming house or something along those lines. Even if that's not your strategy, we want you to understand that. So in the group settings, it's not lecture style. It really is, all right, we're going to break into groups and we're going to work on this deal together. We're going to analyze this deal. We're going to make an offer on this deal.
Right.
Maybe hypothetical, maybe for real, but give people the confidence, go through the motions of, I've never bought an off-market property before.
Right.
I've never paid cash for something. I've never used a hard money lender
Right.
at all. We're going to do that in reality. That hopefully gives them the confidence of, in my daily life, I can actually do that. And the agents that do the work, that show up, that make that commitment, do the homework as well that we assign them, will get extra benefits of free coaching.
Right.
Basically access to me and other people that will be training, that is not just training, but they bring a deal that they want to buy. We're going to help them analyze it. We're going to help them put eyes on that to give them some confidence of yes or no, or maybe we're going to go in another direction.
I think it's a big deal because I think that's where most people stop, right? We have a lot of agents that are out there on appointments. We've talked about it, right? We were talking to an agent the other day and they said, the first thing I remember Gary Keller saying was, if you worked at Gap, you should have a lot of jeans, right? And in real estate, right? If you're in deals, if you're in appointments, if you're talking to sellers, there's always going to be situations in which maybe you purchasing that property is an opportunity, right? I know that from my own personal experience, one of my coaches last year in August, actually it was in July. I remember exactly where I was sitting when I had the conversation. And he just said, don't be reckless, but jump. Right. And that really stuck with me. And I remember within a couple of weeks, we had actually bought our first house, right? Our first investment property. And I learned more in those 3 weeks. And my wife and I learned a lot more in those 3 weeks than we had learned, in almost 12 years, right? Because our head's been down, my head's been down learning the residential side of the business, right? The things that we always talk about. But again, the equity that we earned in that property already since that point, right? I wouldn't have done it if someone told me to jump. And so I know what we're trying to do here is give our agents what I think is a missing puzzle piece to this industry right now, right? There's a lot of people who make it look like they're doing amazing, right? Like make it looks like they have amazing lives, but at the end of the day, are you going home and looking at your net worth with your spouse, right? And with your kids and going, this is exactly where we want to be. And so I'm excited because I think the agents within the Alliance Group now, we're gonna fit that puzzle piece into the puzzle. And I think it's an important one because even in markets like we're in right now, where there's not a ton of units selling, as you said, like energy is important.
Sure.
And it's interesting right now to look around at agents. Those that have a positive mindset, who have a plan, who have a goal, are closing deals.
Sure.
Those who are worried about interest rates and about down units, et cetera, they're not. And I think that's just mindset more than anything. So I believe, and I know you share this with me, which is what I'm so excited about, is if we can give them the education and not, let's be honest, right? There's a lot of great training out there around investing. You're not the only one.
Sure.
I think you do it really, really well and better than most. The problem I see is it can't just be a flash in the pan, once every quarter, once every 6 months conversation, because you get motivated around that. But then you leave and you don't take action.
Sure.
And so we really want to make sure this is consistent for our agent base so that they can take action. So in markets like this even, right, that you have extra motivation where you just go, hey, if I could create an extra $40,000 this year, that's my passive income, like down payment on a property.
Yeah.
And I think we can create motivation from having a goal and a plan.
I love that phrase, create motivation, because most people, like top producers, they're motivated, right? They're like, I'm motivated.
Sure.
But the reality is everyone reaches a limit of their motivation. Yep. Everyone, I believe, is making exactly the amount of money they're motivated to make. If you had to make more money, like if something came up, you would figure out, okay, I'm going to do a little bit more. I wasn't as comfortable, whatever it may be with that strategy or putting in those hours, but they will do it. So everyone has the ability to make more money. They're making as much money as they are actively currently motivated in. Right. And I've seen more people, like I used to kind of combine your real estate coaching business plan with your financial freedom plan. And you take someone that's done consistently, $200,000 a year for the last 5 years, and they're very consistent. And there's like, that's who they are. And they're all of a sudden they're like, no, I'm motivated to do $300,000. I'm motivated to sell 5 more properties or whatever it may be, because in most of our mind, like, once you make enough money to survive, you don't really know why you need more money. And it sounds weird because most people are saying, I'll take as much money as I can. Human nature, you're going to make as much money as you need to survive. And once you're there, especially if you're comfortable, you're not going to push beyond that in most scenarios.
Right.
This gives you the creative motivation of, I never thought I could be financially free in 5 years.
Right.
I never thought that was even possible. But if you're telling me, if I really, really work and I do 10 more deals or whatever it may be, and I put this plan in place, I might actually be financially free, or have my retirement set up, like way earlier than I thought. That is an extra layer of motivation that I've seen work, that help people increase their sales, increase their business. And we talked about financial freedom. It is very specific on a plan. I've coached hundreds of people as real estate agents and investors, many of which I've helped become financially free, because there's a very simple plan that I followed.
Right.
I stumbled across because my mentor gave me bits and pieces, but I just realized that it's not $10 million in the bank that makes you financially free. It's cash flow. Do you need $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month coming in? All right, there's a mathematical equation to get there.
Yep.
That's actually not that risky.
Right.
It's fairly simple. It's pretty boring.
Right.
Buy properties, continue to buy properties.
Right.
And how do you get really good at buying properties, the right type of properties that make sense? Are there other types of investing? Absolutely. And we'll teach everyone all those other types of investing. But it starts with that baseline of, can I be financially free? Can I get $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month financially, passively coming in through my rental properties? Once you're financially free, that's really where things start. It's like, I really believe life and everything starts at financial freedom for most people, because until you're financially free, you don't really have the freedom to do what you want. You have enough freedom to decide what type of job you're going to have or what type of career you're going to have, but you have to have that because you have obligations, financial, family, all those obligations. Once you realize you don't have those obligations anymore because you have 30 properties that are paying for your obligations, you're going to find out who you really are. And it turns out, man, I really like being an agent.
Sure.
But here's something I don't like to do. Here's something I really like to do. Or I've always wanted to take the chance of this.
Right.
Now I can take that chance. Now I can build my team. Now I can, pay for whatever it is. You have that ability to do that. So financial freedom for me is not sitting on the beach somewhere.
Sure.
It's, how do I really take the chances that I've been holding back on that really will hopefully make the impact.
Yep.
For me, for my family, for my community. Maybe I do something that just changes the world completely, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to figure that out until you actually get to that comfort level of financial freedom.
Yeah. Something you said to me one time was, you just want to have choices.
Yep.
And I think when I talk to agents right now, some may be doing well financially, right? But they're looking for something else.
Sure.
And what I find is when I ask people a question, hey, would you rather have more time or money? I'm hearing time.
Absolutely.
Right now. And I think that's true, right? No one wants to be working all the time. No one wants to be working all weekend. We have important relationships in our life. We have important things we want to do. We have vacations we want to take with our spouses. And unfortunately, we've all been in it long enough. Like, this is an industry where it feels like sometimes we can't let go.
Sure.
Right? Or you get to December and you go, okay, I got a couple weeks off, and then January 2nd hits and everyone's ready to go buy a house again, right? And so this is important to me because I want people to be happy in this industry.
Yep.
And in some ways, I feel like we're working away from that a bit. We're in a hustle culture. We're in a culture in which social media reigns true and everyone feels like they've got to be on all the time. And that was something I really enjoyed about our visions together here, is this also can give you time in your life, right? In which you don't need to be out knocking on doors and doing all those things, which are important.
Sure.
But I think ultimately we all want to get to a spot where we have time to enjoy this life. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I deal with, in this industry, in any industry, you're going to deal with burnout, right? There's burnout. It's burnout within the year, within the month, within the week, or within your career. There's a level of burnout. I've had burnout. And it's understanding where that actually comes from. Most of burnout, although it's real, is emotional and mental stress that you're putting on yourself.
Right.
And some of that becomes because you feel like you're trapped, like you don't have those choices.
Yep.
If you work the same amount, but you don't have the pressure of, I need to close that sale because I got to go pay my mortgage. That's pressure. Right. That's the level of pressure. You don't have that pressure, the burnout or the stress that leads to the burnout is almost non-existent. So I've seen people like thought that they were just done. They had to go do something else to, I could do this for the rest of my life now. I'm happy doing this. I actually like doing this. I thought I didn't like it. It was the burnout. And it was a stress of the inconsistency that I didn't like.
Yep.
And so often that financial freedom or that knowledge or taking away, giving you the options, most people are going to still choose the option of, I really like doing this. I'm going to work harder.
Right.
It's no longer leading to burnout.
Yep.
I want to be the best or see how good I can be now that I have that option.
One of my coaches the other day said to me, you have to give from your saucer, not from your cup. And then he was quiet for a minute, and I just thought about that for a second. It was basically like, if you're not filled up, right, if you don't have anything overflowing, like you don't have much to give. And I think I'm really excited about this because you have a full cup and you also have a full saucer, and you came to us and said, this is something that I really want to help with and help our agent base. And that's where we're gonna help our team get to. I don't think everyone's gonna opt in. Obviously, our goal is for everyone to do it, but I feel really, really confident that we're gonna figure out this missing puzzle piece and bring this into our world that all of our agents will have exposure to, right? And you ran brokerages prior to this relationship, right? And so what I wanted to point out to everybody is just, you understand this world that we all live in, right? You understand the life cycle of an agent. You've worked with agents for a very long time, right? You're not just an investor guy coming in and saying like, yeah, how do you not know about hard money, right? Like, here's how that thing works. That's what I'm most excited about is we're going to tailor this to the real estate licensee and the advantages that they have in their world and the conversations they get to have every day and how they build on that and not just look up every year and go, okay, made a decent income, but I spent that income and I got to go again next year. Yeah, we need to start reversing that a little bit and be building towards something bigger that gives people choices.
So I think what I appreciate about our initial conversations is, I mentioned this, I'm chasing impact, right? I want to make an impact in multiple ways. And I think you're trying to do the exact same thing within your organization. You know, how do I create that impact, that differentiator, but something's actually going to change their lives. Like if 5 years from now, it changes their lives completely because we implemented that, we have that potential, right? So I love the platform that we have and the amount of agents that we're going to be able to help. And one of my favorite phrases, I have it on all my clothing, right? Are you playing the right game, right? Like I asked my wife if I can get a tattoo. She doesn't want me to get a tattoo.
What, you're from Hawaii? Yes, you don't have like 12 tattoos?
I would get one tattoo that says this, am I playing the right game? So to remind myself. And so no tattoos, so it's on all my clothes, right? It reminds myself, am I playing the right game? Because we talk about, I use the analogy of life or active income or jobs or business as a game, right? In terms of you learn the rules of the game. I learned it from my parents, learned it from my mentors, learned these rules. And most people learn those rules and try to figure out, how do I become really good at playing that game? And at some point, someone else comes along and just says, you're playing the wrong game. Like, you're really good at that game. I got really good at making money. I got really good at active income, made a lot of money in my life, careers and businesses, but I was playing the wrong game. Nothing wrong with that game. But it turns out I needed passive income. And it's a completely different game altogether. So understanding, and can we change mindsets of there's different games to play. And if you're only trying to play the same game everyone else is playing, you're going to get as good maybe as everyone else. But everyone's leading to, if you just look at society as a whole, there's not a lot of financially free people. There's not a lot of people with low stress levels because they have options. A lot of people without options. And that's what playing the core game gets you. And so you can get good at that game. You can make a lot of money, but there's another game out there. And if we teach people to play that game at least at the same time or shift completely, that's where the stress goes away. That's where that freedom, comes in. So I like to remind myself, and we're going to kind of, agents going to hear that quite often. Are you playing the right game? And if we think about within our real estate industry, as a real estate profession, agents play a game against other agents. Brokers play a game against other brokers, right? And are there some agents better than others? Absolutely. Are there some brokers better than others that offer more value? Absolutely. But ultimately, if you zoom out, it looks like everyone's playing the same game. Right? And to an extent, some are better at playing that game. And from a broker standpoint, like we just thought, how do we play a different game? We're going to still offer amazing coaching, amazing support. We're going to help you make a lot of money as an agent. But everyone's playing that game. We're going to continue to be at playing that game well, but can we start playing a different game that no one else is playing? Can we really care about our agents and their financial freedom to give them the choices of what they want to do 2 years, 3 years down the road based on their investing that they did, not based on their active sales?
Well, I know I'm excited to start playing a new game. I think it's necessary in 2024. And I'm really, really excited for our agents to step into this as well. And so I encourage everybody to come join us in March when we do our launch parties per market center. So look for that marketing, and then join us in April, right? We're going to do a big launch in April. and let's start this process together. And I'd love nothing more to look back and just say this was the start of something huge that changed a lot of agents' lives. And I believe it 100%. So welcome aboard. Thanks for joining the Alliance Group. We look forward to building something big together.
Same here. Appreciate
All right, guys.
it.
We'll talk to you soon.